Hey everyone, it's Adriana from Adriana's Paper Crafts, and today we're going to do a quick video on how to make a chip bag using my free template on Microsoft Publisher. So the first thing you have to do is make sure that you download the file that I have. It is in my Facebook group, which is Adriana's Paper Crafts group. So just head over to Facebook and in the search bar type in Adriana's Paper Crafts group. It will be the first one to come up. You're going to go down on the left hand side where it has files. If you're using a mobile device, it will have it on the top instead of the left-hand side. So you're going to come down into my files and you're going to click on the chip bag template fully detailed. I'm going to go ahead and show you a preview so you can see what it looks like. It has all of the details here. It is a regular PNG file, which is basically just a regular picture. It is not a document such as a Word file or a PDF or anything like that. So go ahead and just save it to your device. And then you're going to open up Publisher on your computer. I do recommend for you to use a laptop or a desktop versus trying to do it on your phone, because sometimes on your phone there are going to be certain things that are just not viewable. So try to make sure that you're using a laptop or a desktop computer for this tutorial. So after you have downloaded that PNG file to your device, you're going to go ahead and open up Publisher. And you're going to want to make sure to select this one here. It is a blank 11 by 8.5 inches wide template. You do want it to be sideways. So you need to click on that one. And the first thing we're going to do is change the page design. So on the top hand over here, you have your different menu options or your different categories. Click on page design and then click on margins. I want you to make sure that your borders are 0 inches, meaning like you have no white space on the edges of your paper. So right now it's set to have a 1/2 inch border on each side of the paper. Let's go ahead and click the 0 one so there are no margins. After that, you're going to go over to Insert, click on Pictures, and you're going to want to then upload the template that you just downloaded from my Facebook group. So it is going to be the full chip bag. All right, so when that opens up, as you can see, it has not taken up the entire photo, the entire background. So what you need to do is, while you have this picture clicked on, while you have it selected, go over to this top part here where it says height and weight and, or sorry, height and width, and go ahead and just type in 11 inches next to width. That will automatically set your height to 8.5 inches. If it did not automatically set it, go ahead and make sure that the height is 8.5 inches and the width is 11 inches. After that, just go ahead and center it on your background. All right, so that looks about right, I believe. So from here, what I'm going to do is just give you guys a very basic tutorial on this. I don't want to go into too much detail because, as we all know, chip bags and any other custom party favor for that matter, the creativity, the design part, that's all up to you and your imagination. So I can't tell you how to design it, but I can tell you how to lay out the main parts of your design using this free template. Now, so all you need to do is come over to Insert at the very top here, and you're going to insert different shapes. All of them, actually, they're going to be the same shape. You're just going to make them fit the sizes here. The first one is just insert a square, rectangle, whatever, and make sure that it takes up that whole middle part. So look, let me delete it so you can see. This whole rectangle right here, you need to fill that. The same goes for this front top border, the front bottom border, back of bag left flap, this entire rectangle here, back of bag right flap. You're also going to insert a shape for where it says colored/pattern border. And then I would suggest to just put a white rectangle right here where it says glue here. So that's all you have to do. It's incredibly simple. From that part, you'll start to focus on whether you want it to be a certain color, if you want to fill that box with a pattern, which I will show you in just a minute. So let's go ahead and just up here at front top border, I'm going to trace that and stick the rectangle right there. going to go back to insert. We're going to stick another one right here in the middle to take up this rectangle here. All right, we're going to do another one. It is going to take up this front bottom border here. And this technique, it applies to any program that you use, whether it be Microsoft Publisher, Microsoft Word, Photoshop. This is how I do it in Photoshop. When I need to start a new one, a new design for a chip bag, I just open up my template, make sure that it is measured to be 8.5 by 11 inches, and then I get to work by doing this. It is absolutely no different from the way that I do it. So from there, not going to really focus on the back of the bag because, again, it is the exact same as the front as far as the technique, and then you just putting in whatever little fluff you want to put. So let's start off with this middle square here. Go make sure and have it selected. You're going to come over to Format at the very top. It is in green. You're going to click on Shape Fill. It's a little paint bucket. Come down to Picture. Unless you want it to be a specific color, then go ahead and just select that color. I, however, hardly ever do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a photo. I'm going to pick, let's see, where is it? All right, let's do this horizontal one here. So then it automatically fills that square or that rectangle. So I'm going to do the same with the top. We're going to come over to Format. If you don't have Format selected, you won't have this option. For example, if you're on this Home option, you can't see it anywhere. So make sure that you click Format at the very top, then click Shape Fill. Again, if you want it to just be a plain color, select that color here. If you want more colors, you would just click on More Fill Colors. However, I'm going to do a picture, but you do also have the option for gradient, texture, or pattern. I'm going to do picture. It'll then say, do you want to browse your computer? Do you want to find one through Bing? Do you have one saved on your OneDrive? I'm going to browse my computer. I'm going to select, this is totally random. This is not a one that I'm making for anyone, so I'm just going to click something completely random here. But I also kind of want it to match. I say I will just go with, honestly, I'll just come back and I'll pick this silver one here. And then it automatically fills that. And then if you want, instead of going through all those steps to then do this one, you can just, instead of having put one there, you'll just select your top one that you just did. You're going to copy and paste it. And then just put it right down here. Same thing. That's what I do in Photoshop. I just duplicate whatever I need. All right. So then there's that. So then let's say you want to go ahead and start getting to work on designing the front of your bag. You would then either create a shape or you would insert something that you want. I always have a shape or some kind of outline ready to go in my digital files folder. So I'm going to click insert, pictures, come down in my digital files, and anytime I see a shape that I like, for example, this little thing right here, it's a frame, I go ahead and save it to my digital files folder. That way I have those options later on. So I'm going to find one that I like. And we'll do this one. And then you will just place it right in the middle. So you can see there's like a pink line right now that just lets me know that it is right in the middle. That way you can center your design. I do recommend to center your design as much as you can. That way it's more visually pleasing to the eye. So then from there, let's say you want to go ahead and start typing in some words. For example, happy 70th birthday. We're going to insert, go ahead and click insert, and then come over to draw a text box. Open up a text box, and then just start typing. So let's do happy 70th birthday Lydia. All right, so from there, you always need to make sure that you highlight your text because if you do not have it highlighted, whatever you're trying to do to it, it's not going to do anything. So make sure the text is highlighted the way I just did it right now. This is unhighlighted, that is highlighted. So highlight your text, come over and pick the font that you want. I'm going to go with, oh, just something basic for now. Go with, oh, let's just go with some brush script. All right, so then make it bigger. I'm going to go ahead and just type in 60 for now. Then I don't like how spaced apart these words are. So I'm going to go ahead and have everything highlighted once more. Come over and first off, I'm going to adjust how tight the letters are. Let me see. Okay, so I set it to tight. It's right here. And then to actually adjust the spacing of each line, go to Home. And then right over here, you'll see an arrow, two arrows that are pointing up and down. And if you hover over it, it says line spacing. Go ahead and click that and then click line spacing options. This is the same as it would be in Word. I always like to set my after paragraphs option to 0. Between lines, let's just put, what is it, 0.69 space and see what that looks like. Now, I also want to make sure that the words are centered. So I'm going to, while you're on your home page, you're going to click this little center option to center your content. I'm going to click off of it to see what it looks like. If you want to move this text around, of course, you just move your text box. You can also resize the text box. It will not affect the size of your font. All right. I'm going to kind of center this as much as I can. There it is. Now, what I love to do in Photoshop, anytime I have text, I prefer to add a drop shadow to it. And that is just going to help it stand out from the page a little bit. It does, I'm not going to lie, it does not show up too crazy like when you print it, but it still is a little bit of a difference. So that's why I like to do it. So go ahead and make sure that your text is highlighted again. Come back up to Format at the very top. And then over here next to these colored letters where it says Word Art Styles, you're going to click on Text Effects. You're going to scroll down to Shadow, which should be your first option. And then you can actually hover over each option and it lets you know what kind of shadow it is. For example, this one says it is an offset towards the bottom, meaning your shadow would be on the bottom of those letters. I just prefer the first one. It is offset bottom right. And so I will show you what that looks like. So you can see it has a very slight shadow, but it looks good. However, I think it is very slight, so what I'm going to do is come back up to text effects, but this time instead of clicking on that same one or clicking a different one, just go all the way down to the options and it'll say shadow options at the bottom. I'll move this over. Now, unfortunately, I did play around with this, and even if you mess with the settings, it will not update it in live mode. You will have to move these little options around, click OK, and then it'll update. So unfortunately, if you don't like it, you'll have to open this option again and just readjust. So I'm going to move it very slightly. I'm going to move my transparency so that I can see it a little bit better. The distance, I'm going to switch to 5 instead of 3 point. Size, I like blur. Angle, I'm probably, instead of 45 degrees, I think I'm going to do 55 degrees. I'll click OK. And now you can notice the shadow much more than you could before. You can also add an outline to your letters. Or in Photoshop, it is called a stroke. But you're going to come up here to Word Art Styles. Instead of text fill or text effects, you're going to look at that middle option. It says text outline. And I'm just going to make it red. But you can also make it a gradient, I believe. So there's that. It's very slight. If you wanted to make it thicker, you would just click on text outline again. Where it says weight, you're going to change that and go a little bit heavier. Now that's a lot. Well, it kind of looks like a neon sign. So if that's the effect you're going for, then that's cool because that's how you can do that. I'm going to click on outline effects just so that you can see what options would be available to you. You can, like I said, you can do a solid line, no line, a gradient line. You can mess with the transparency here. So it's just a little extra options from what it was before, but nothing too amazing there. You can also, if you wanted to, instead of having it just a line, you could do dashes. See? Obviously, with this kind of theme that we're doing right now, it doesn't look that great. But if you were going for something really cool and funky, that's when those options would work out really well for you. So I'm just gonna do the basic side. All right. So like I said, as far as the back goes, you're just going to continue to add your rectangles here, and you're going to start adding in nutrition label if you want to add that. You would, again, I do have nutrition label files in my Facebook group, so you can just download those and then just type in the words for yourself, save it as a picture, and then insert it into this file that you have in front of you. Um, Really anything. I mean, it's really simple. I just prefer to use Photoshop because it's just more user friendly to me. It allows you to do more options in a much quicker way. Unfortunately, with Word or with Photoshop, you cannot move the pattern that is inside of your shape. So, for example, this gray here, it's supposed to be glitter, but because Publisher, it just kind of automatically sizes it to fit whatever shape you put it in. So it doesn't really show that glitter effect. It does not allow me to move it around. It does not allow me to increase the size of the pattern. Whereas on Photoshop, it will allow you to do that. The rectangle itself will not get any bigger, but I can make the pattern inside of it get bigger or smaller depending on what I want the glitter to look like. So again, it's just not an option that is available to you with Publisher or with Microsoft Word. So you would have to then go into Google and find a photo that is like really blown up of glitter and really high quality, and then insert it into this shape and then see if that works better for you. Um, but yeah, so that's like I said, I know a lot of people just don't have the Photoshop, they don't want to learn, or maybe you just don't have the funds right now to pay for it, and I totally get that. Keep in mind, I have made videos in the past where I have mentioned that there is basically like a free Photoshop that I have found. Just go to www.photopea.com, and it's basically a free version of Photoshop. It does look a little different, obviously, and you really have to get used to it, but it would really prepare you for how to use Photoshop down the line if you want to go ahead and pay for that. Now, I'm going to show you real quick how you would print this so that it remains full page. You're going to just click on File. It was on the top right-hand corner. You click on Print. I'm going to let that load. I think right now I have my main printer set for my Canon, which is my large format printer. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. Make sure that you have the correct printer listed. I'm going to put my HP Envy printer. Now, if you take a look, you can see that when I selected my HP Envy printer, it went and it created a very thin border on the side. You can tell because this line right here doesn't go all the way to the top. My gray right here, it's not all the way at the top like it was a second ago. So what you need to do is click Printer Properties, which is right underneath your printer option. When that opens up, if your printer has the ability to print full size, you need to select that. So right here, my option is borderless. Do I want it on or off? I'm going to click on because borderless is just that it has no border. Click OK, and then you're going to see it update, and you're going to see that it basically prepares the paper to now be full size. So you can see it no longer has that white space at the bottom and top. So of course, once you've completed your full design, you would then print it, and you will want to make sure to set it to borderless settings. I want to say that every printer has that capability, but I obviously have not tried every printer, so I could be wrong. If you have looked high and low and you cannot find the borderless option for your printer, make sure to also Google, just type in the name of your printer and then type in borderless settings. For all you know, there's just a different way to go and find it. But I don't see why a certain printer would not allow borderless settings. Um, if it still does not, it's okay. Print it the way it set it to a second ago, where it gives it like a tiny little white border around the whole thing. Print your paper, and then once you print it, just trim off that white edge. It's not going to affect it. It's not such a great amount that it's going to affect your chip bag in any way. Because before I learned about borderless settings, that's how I used to print all of my chip bags. And sometimes I would leave the white border on, and then half the time I would cut it off just because I didn't like the way it looked with my design. And there's absolutely no difference. Again, it is such a small amount of paper that you're trimming off that it will not affect your chip bag in any way. The little snack bags that you're putting in there, it'll still fit. You're perfectly fine. So that's really all there is. If you guys have any questions, make sure to put them down in the comments below. If you've not had a chance to join my Facebook group, make sure you do that. Again, I offer free, absolutely free templates, and I'm constantly adding. I answer questions there, I do live videos there, and I'm much more accessible that way. So I definitely suggest that you join. If you're interested in any kind of crafting, we are there to answer questions. It is a great space for you to try out some of our items, post your pictures, and receive feedback. So, again, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully, this video did help you. If it did not, let me know, and I can do another one, and I can definitely do it much better. All right, guys, I will see you later. Again, I'm Adriana from Adriana's Paper Crafts, and I will see you next time. Bye.